WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. Current Mississippi law allows people convicted of 6 specific crimes to have those convictions expunged or removed from their record. House Bill 1352 passed into law this year. We'll expand that option. Our Quentin Smith, he speaks to the lawmaker about the new law. So Quentin, will all convictions now be excluded in this bill?
Well, not all of them, Scott. Violent offenses such as drug trafficking and embezzlement, among a few others, that they are not able to be expunged. Lawmakers say the push behind this comes from obstacles that many convicted felons face when they're applying for a job. They say this is a law that will impact thousands of people all across the state. During this year's legislative session, state leaders were determined to come up with ways to make getting a job easier for convicted felons.
We felt like that there's a lot of people that's been prohibited from getting good jobs because of the felony question.
As a result, House Bill 1352 was introduced.
Someone who's been convicted of a felony to starting July the 1st to have that felony expunged off their record so that they would not have to answer that question about have you ever had a felony.
In order for someone to be expunged, there are a few requirements. A person must be 5 years removed from serving their sentence. They must also be off of probation and pay off all fines and fees associated with the conviction.
If you have that, you can go get you an attorney, go back to the judge, and if the judge agrees with it, he can have the record expunged.
The felony expungement will be eligible for most non-violent crimes, with the exception of a few others, including drug trafficking and embezzlement. House Bill 1352 states that people would only be eligible for one felony expungement unless multiple offenses are tied into one event. The cost of the expungement, however, has to be paid for by the applicant.
This is an opportunity for them to clear their record. Right now, somebody with a felony, can't own a gun or have a gun in their possession. And this would clear that up to where they could. And then there's several crimes, felonies, that would prohibit you from voting. And this would also clear that one up.
Now, House Bill 1352 officially goes into effect on Monday, July 1st. The bill also prevents driver's license suspension for non-related drug offenses and unpaid legal fines and fees. To read more about this bill, just head on over to our website at WCBI.com. Scott?
Well, you could be eating Thanksgiving leftovers and selecting your lottery numbers at the same time this year. A lot of Mississippians excited about the Mississippi Lottery. The corporation is accepting proposals from vendors to implement and operate instant ticket lottery games. Instant ticket sales must begin on or before December 1st. An announcement was made on the corporation's website. Proposals must be in by August 2nd. Online ticket sales must begin by February 2020. Time now to get a first look at our Friday night forecast. We'll send things over to meteorologist Kendall Smith. Kendall, we finally made it to the weekend.
Well, Scott, yes, we did, and a pretty pleasant Friday indeed. This is taking a look in downtown Columbus on our Alpha Insurance Sky Camera, where temperatures area-wide are sitting in the mid to upper 70s. So we're sitting in mostly dry conditions as well on Doppler radar, and this is a pleasant change of pace from the showers and thunderstorms some of us saw earlier this afternoon. So as we go throughout the overnight hours, temperatures will drop into the upper 60s and low 70s area-wide. Partly cloudy skies are to be expected, and we might even see some fog by the time you wake up in the morning, Scott.
All right, Kendall, thank you very much. A safety checkpoint turns into a foot chase and drug bust in Webster County. Webster County deputies in the Mathiston Police Department seized 10 pounds of marijuana from a trunk from this Nissan Altima. Now, on Tuesday, the departments, they were doing safety checkpoints on Highway 15. During that checkpoint, that's when investigators say they found the marijuana. They also found some pills. A suspect also ran off but was quickly captured and taken into custody. The sheriff's office says the case is still under investigation. The man who escaped the Quitman County Community Works Center yesterday is back in custody. 31-year-old Walter Lee Lewis went missing from a job site in Clarksdale yesterday afternoon. He was serving time for conspiracy to commit a crime and malicious mischief in Lee County. Lewis was arrested this afternoon in Fulton. Curtis Flowers has been tried 6 times for the 1996 murders of 4 people in Winona. A week ago, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned his latest conviction, but he could be tried a 7th time. Courtney Ann Jackson speaks with a podcast reporter who moved to Mississippi to take a deep dive into the case.
Will Curtis Flowers face a 7th trial? District Attorney Doug Evans told the Grenada Star that, quote, he will have to be retried. Meanwhile, Evans' office would only tell us that the DA had decided not to comment on the case. American Public Media's In the Dark podcast received a short email from a lady living in the area.
It said, in my county, there's a guy that's been tried 6 times for the same crime. And we got that email and we're literally like, how can that be possible? Like, how can you try one guy 6 times for the same crime? And that single question drove us down here, and it drove us to report on this case now for almost 2 years.
Reporter Parker Yesko and others moved to Winona for nearly a year. And based on what they learned, they anticipate that a 7th trial would look very different than the first 6. Some witnesses have died, others have changed their stories.
The only piece of direct evidence in the state's case was a jailhouse informant, a guy named Odell Hallman, who recanted on taped In the Dark, saying that he was lying when he said that Curtis Flowers had confessed to the crime. So it's hard to imagine him testifying for the state.
Their analysis of DA Doug Evans' jury selection in more than just the Flowers case reveals that he
has struck black prospective jurors at almost 4.5 times the rate that he struck white ones.
And they found an alternate suspect.
That was never presented in any of the past 6 trials. Who you could imagine coming up in a 7th trial and casting suspicion away from Curtis Flowers.
Now, Flowers and everyone else waits to see if a 7th trial will be formally initiated. Courtney Ann Jackson, WCBI News.
Well, a chance for an isolated shower or thunderstorm is possible this weekend, with temperatures topping out in the low 90s. But when we factor in those heat indexes, it could feel like the mid to upper 90s. More on those details coming up next.
Your first alert AccuWeather forecast with meteorologist Kendall Smith.
Well, the shower and thunderstorm activity we saw earlier this afternoon has since pushed out of our area, making its way into Alabama, and most of the part it's starting to fizzle out, as well as that daytime heating has gone away. And that'll continue to be the trend as we go throughout the overnight hours. This is taking a look on our Off Insurance Sky Camera Network, where we are seeing dry conditions and partly cloudy skies. It's shaping up to be a pretty pleasant evening in store for us. This is taking a look in downtown Tupelo currently, and it's currently 78 degrees with a dew point of 70, so it is a little hot and muggy out there if you do happen to be out and about this evening. Area-wide, we're seeing temperatures much of the same, mid-70s, 72 in Starkville, 75 in West Point, 78 is our warm spot in Tupelo, as well as 72 in Amory. And as we go throughout the overnight hours, temperatures will drop down into the upper 60s with partly cloudy skies. And by the time you wake up in the morning, we could see some fog out there, but by the time it starts to warm up, that fog will go away and winds will be calm for your overnight hours. So we'll stay dry during your overnight, but we'll also stay dry by the time you wake up on Saturday morning. But then by lunchtime, we do start to see those clouds start to increase. They do build back in, and we could see a chance for an isolated shower or thunderstorm by late afternoon as well as early evening for tomorrow. Some of these could be a little stronger. Gusty winds and heavy rain would be the greatest threats expected with these. We'll keep those rain chances around throughout the day on your Saturday, and then on Sunday, by the time you wake back up again, we do look to be dry again. So if you do plan to head out to the pool or beach this weekend, and this is your weekend outlook, temperatures will be in the low 90s, but when you factor in that heat index, it's going to feel anywhere from the mid to upper 90s. So it's going to be a summer scorcher, hot weather, good weekend to get outside and do something outdoors, but be close to some water. And we could see a chance for an isolated shower or thunderstorm each day this weekend. So on Sunday morning, we look to be dry. Then we could see some showers start to push back in by the evening hours, and then we'll dry back out again for your Monday. Same song, different verse. We could see some showers start to creep back in by the evening hours on your Monday. And then on Tuesday, we do look to dry back out again, as well as for your Wednesday by the middle of week. So for tomorrow, temperatures will top out area-wide in the upper 80s and low 90s. 91 in Tupelo, 89 in Houston, and 89 in Pontotoc. Much of the same is to be expected for our southern counties as well. Looking at 89 in Louisville, as well as 88 tomorrow in Ackerman, and then West Alabama expecting low 90s, looking at 91 in Reform as well as 91 in Vernon. So it's going to feel a lot like summer tomorrow, and we're going to have some isolated showers or thunderstorms. Stick around with us for the remainder of your weekend. So Saturday and Sunday as well as Monday, Could see an isolated shower or storm. Temperatures will be in the low 90s with lows in the low 70s. But the good news is we do dry out by the middle of the week with temperatures in the mid 90s.
Summertime officially here. Thank you very much, Kendall. Speaking of summer, Caledonia's Farmers Market is open for business. It's called Market on Main. It features farm fresh produce, homemade baked breads, and desserts and arts and crafts. And organizers say there's no vendor's fee to participate. They just want to encourage residents to visit downtown. It takes place every other Friday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. from now through August. The next Market on Main is July the 13th. Some volunteers in Tupelo are hoping a program will turn the page on literacy in the city. We have more when we come back.
You're watching WCBI News at 10 with Scott Martin.
Welcome back, everyone. The next set of United States Air Force pilots is taking off from Columbus. 37 men and women graduated from specialized undergraduate pilot training today. 8 of those earning their silver wings. And international students, some of the graduates will stay at Columbus Air Force Base to be instructor pilots. The others will go to Air Force bases across the country and around the world. WCBI was a sponsor for this class of pilots, and we wish them all the luck on their next mission. Boys and Girls Club members in Tupelo are taking part in a citywide initiative that promotes reading. Tupelo Reads encourages residents to read the same book and come together for activities promoting literacy. This year's book is Jeannie Moon, the story of an autistic teenager. Volunteers with Tupelo Reads have spent the past few days at the Haven Acres Boys and Girls Club talking about key themes of the book with the young folks.
That was a big takeaway, that they may encounter people that are different, not just with autism spectrum, but many other things, and to deal with people that might be different in a compassionate way.
The book's author, Benjamin Ludwig, will visit Tupelo in September for Tupelo Reads community events. The Smithville Seminoles are up next on the high school football tour. The Noles want more than division titles. Here are their plans coming up for the upcoming season, coming up next in sports.
Your WCBI Sports with Courtney Robb.
The high school football tour continues on with Region 2 1A. Our 5th stop checks in with the Seminoles of Smithville. The Seminoles return with more experience than the season before, hopeful that it will make all the difference.
Unexpected is the word the Smithville Seminoles used to describe the run it made in 2018. With a much younger squad last year, the Seminoles were surprised that the lack of experience didn't hold them back. Now for the upcoming season, they're setting the expectations even higher.
What they did last year to step up and play hard, you know, it really surprised us a little bit, but we've got good kids that they just outwork everybody, and that's kind of what we did last year.
I think we all on like a revenge trip. We ready to get after it. I think we want the state championship. We want to get past North Half because we done been there 3 years. Our senior group done been there 3 years and haven't got past there, so we want to get there past there this year.
That younger squad has grown older. Smithville returns over 10 seniors this season, but also has some important holes to fill on the field. Regardless, the Seminoles aren't concerned.
Everybody talk about like we're losing linemen, and that's the talk every year, but we still come out and put thousands of yards up in rushing.
We've got some young guys that, you know, they're going to have to step up, just like the guys last year stepped up. We've got some other young guys that we're going to have to fill and replace and move on, and we've got some talent that we feel like can do that. It'll just be a learning experience. So game one, we'll be learning, and hopefully by the end, as we're finishing up division, we'll be where we want to be, and those guys will be playing the type of football we think they can play.
An important key to this year's success is going to be focusing less on the past and more on the present.
Last year was last year, and it's over with. We can't lean on that. You know, we're not anymore. We're not North Half contenders. This year we're a brand new team. We've taken on a new identity, and it'd be really neat to see how that transforms as the year takes off. But, you know, we're playing fast and we're playing physical, and that's just been our brand of football.
The new season for Smithville begins August 23rd against Belmont, and it might be a different team, but it's still Smithville against the world.
Just like last year, we don't want to overlook anybody. We want to take every week seriously, prepare for it, and then we'll move on to the next.
We never take anybody lightly. We're trying to get at everybody's head, and no matter what, we know we have each other's back.
Reporting in Smithville on the high school football tour, Courtney Robb, WCBI Sports.
60 Schools in 60 Days with Smithville High School was brought to you by Cleveland Moffitt Funeral Home. and Monroe County Farm Bureau.
Well, there are plenty more tour stops still to come. The weekend slate featuring the Myrtle Hawks and the TCPS Eagles. And then we kick next week off with the Noxapater Tigers, followed by the Okolona Chieftains, and back into Region 2 1A. For those keeping track at home, go to our Twitter and Facebook accounts at WCBI Endzone to see the schedule. And of course, if you miss any stops along the way, you can always go watch them on our website at WCBI.com.
It's been an incredible.
The future remains incredibly bright for college baseball in Mississippi. Two of its youngest, biggest stars raking in the awards Friday. Mississippi State freshman pitcher JT Ginn unanimously named a freshman All-American by all 5 major collegiate baseball publications. Ole Miss freshman Doug Nikhazy named freshman All-American by Collegiate Baseball and Perfect Game. Ginn was named the SEC Freshman of the Year, and Nikhazy named an All-SEC freshman. Victory Christian's Michael Tate signs to continue his football career with Delta State. Tate was a dominant force on the field for the Eagles, averaging almost 13 tackles a game while recording 8 sacks in his career. Tate says the recruiting process was stressful, but in the end, glad he's off to play college ball close to home.
I was excited for it, so I'm just glad I got to sign, because a lot of folks didn't think I would sign. So I'm just glad I got to sign. It's a blessing. I still get to play the sport I love and go to college, get all that done. So it was stressful, but worth it.
We'll have more from the high school football tour continuing tomorrow. Of course, if you, again, missed any of those tour stops, you can go and find those on our website at WCBI.com. That's going to be all that I have for sports. We'll have more for you coming up after the break. Stay with us.
Well, an isolated shower or thunderstorm is possible starting tomorrow all the way through Monday. Temperatures are going to be in the low 90s, but when you factor in those heat indexes, it's going to feel like the mid to upper 90s. It's going to be pretty darn hot out there, but the good news is we do start to dry out for Tuesday and Wednesday, as well as the 4th of July. It looks to be pretty favorable.
You know, the other day I was actually a little bit dehydrated, so but this heat, it's no joke. You definitely want to make sure you got water if you're going to spend any time outdoors.
Yes, you do indeed. You need to make sure you're hydrated and that you have some sunscreen and a hat, something to shade you, because it will be pretty sunny out there as well.
Find a shade, find the pool. I know I always say the pool, but that's just where you're going to find me. So, all right. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you next week.